All right, this is Dr. Sanchez, and I'm back. So glad to be with you again. So today's topic, we're going to talk about more about burnout, specifically why women leaders face more burnout and how to combat it. So this is going to be good. We're going to break this up into a couple different parts, but in parts one, which is today's episode, I want to talk about some strategies to help you work through this challenge. Now, if you don't know the research, data from the 2020 McKinsey poll found that 53% of women reported feeling job-related stress compared to 46% of men. Also, 37% of women felt exhausted compared to 31% of men, and 32% of women felt burnout compared to 28% of men. So this disparity is one that some of you may be very aware of, but it's even more obvious at the senior level. For example, 54% of senior level women leaders feel exhausted compared to 41% of men, and 39% experience burnout, with only 29% of male leaders reporting the same. So I've said all that to say that as a woman leader, it is important to understand the root causes of work-related stress and really find for yourself some actionable ways that you could go about trying to reduce the impact that it's having upon you, both professionally and personally. Now, I want to share a few strategies with you here in today's episode. But the idea, as always, is to raise your self-awareness around this issue of stress and burnout. Oftentimes, we don't use those words, women leaders, even, that I'm stressed or I'm burnout, because we just shoulder it. And so what I'm wanting to do with these series of episodes where I'm talking about this issue is to help give a voice to that. And maybe something that's being shared in these episodes will help you to be able to connect with a way that you can free yourself if you're feeling trapped by things like being stressed or burnt out in your position, so that you don't have to feel the need to walk away if that's something that you don't need to do. Okay, so one strategy that I want to talk about is learning how to understand your own unique signs of stress. We all have our own individual signs of stress. Some of these can be things like sleeping too much, a change in your diet, or you feeling restless, or maybe even feeling like you're lacking in focus or motivation. It could be things like not wanting to socialize or withdrawing from social interactions. Regardless of what it is, the idea here is that you need to be mindful of what your triggers are to stress and burnout, and realize that you have your own unique signs of stress, and that these signs can become a health risk for you if they're not dealt with appropriately, okay? The other thing that I would suggest you do is think about changing your thoughts, because ultimately this can change your life. By changing your thoughts, I know it can seem cliche to say it, but it rings true every time. If you can change your thoughts at a core or deeper level, this ultimately will impact upon your behavior, and this will change things for you, okay? So when you feel stressed, we usually relate this to a feeling of something negative. Stress brings on negativity. For some people are energized by stress, but it ends up becoming something negative. You can only ride that wave so long. But if you're stressed out, this may mean that you're coping in a way that is not good for you, and your ability to deal with the situation could be diminishing. So again, that's a trigger. Okay. Also be aware of the signs of stress and burnout, because if you don't deal with stress in this way that some others do, where you have problems coping or dealing, it could relate to other thoughts for you. It could be things like you could be dealing and you're managing all the spinning plates, but quietly there's this belief and this thought that you're feeling stuck, that you're trapped, and you don't have any options, okay? So think about that. I know we talked in previous episodes about that. If you have this underlying belief, your behaviors are going to support that belief, okay? So you're going to do things to support that belief. If you're feeling stuck, it may show up like, hey, I feel like I have to overwork, or I have to prove myself, or I've got to do more than A, B, or C so that I can be seen. If you're feeling trapped, you may hate your job, but you go to work every day because you got to pay those bills, you got to take care of this, you got to take care of that. Where the reality may be that there are other options that realistically are available to you, but you could be feeling trapped because you're fearful of something. Okay, so the more that you confront those beliefs head on and you work to unpack them and work through them, the better it's going to be for you. It's kind of like taking the medicine that you know ultimately is going to cause healing for you. It may not be great to start with, okay? But the idea is that there's something good that's going to come out of this. So that's why I talk about changing your thoughts that ultimately can change your life. So I've shared 3 nuggets here, and I'm gonna, or 2 nuggets, I should say, and I'm gonna pause here with those because I think these are important. You know, those statistics that I shared from the McKinsey poll about senior level women and how 54% of those senior level women are feeling exhausted compared to 41% of men, and that 39% experience burnout. For some senior level women, the reality becomes, hey, should I walk away? Is this too much? You know, can I keep this up? Can I do this? And so stress and burnout is a real thing. And the reality is, for many senior women leaders, they may not feel like they have a place that they can safely discuss those feelings or those fears. And so I'm not saying that you're to blame. I'm not casting blame on anyone or anything like that. But this is about raising your level of self-awareness. Because like I said, we have our head down, we're executing, we're doing, we're serving, we're doing what we need for everyone else and ourselves. We tend to forget about caring for ourselves. And so self-care is very important, especially like I've shared in a previous episodes about since the onset of the pandemic, there has been this lack of division between our personal and our professional lives, and it becomes this continuum that doesn't end, right? And so we have to carve out those times where there is some separation and designation between what is work and what is personal. The same thing has to happen in our mindset where we have a breather, right? And we have to be able to turn it off. If you're not able to turn it off and it's keeping you up at night, and you're feeling as though it's impacting upon everything, your energy level, your fatigue, your confidence, your ability to show up and be visible as a leader, then these are things that have to be dealt with, okay? So all of these podcast episodes that I'm sharing with you were born out of my own personal experience, having led at a very high level working in corporate industry, having dealt with things like stress and burnout, having dealt with things like being overlooked for promotion, having dealt with all these things that I support women leaders with. And so it not only comes from my personal experience, but I've been able to take my expertise and what I do in the areas of mindset, strategy, and leadership and support thousands of other women to help them work through with some amazing transformational results. So I have to say that this is real stuff. This is real stuff. It is not fluff. And so I'm giving you permission, if you need it, to care for yourself today. And the first step that I would say is share this podcast with someone that needs it. Listen to it yourself again and take some notes. And then the homework I would give you is identify at least one thing that you can do this week to help reduce stress or burnout for yourself. Write down at least one thing that you can do this week to reduce stress or burnout for yourself, and then do it. Okay? So I hope that this episode has been helpful to you. My name is Dr. Sanchez. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.